The monitors never stopped screaming. In the intensive care wing of Walter Reed Military Medical Center, alarms layered over one another like a bad symphony, heart rate irregular, oxygen crashing, blood pressure falling into numbers no one wanted to say out loud. Doctors crowded the bed, their faces tight, hands moving fast but not frantic, because panic was a luxury they'd burned through hours ago. The man on the bed didn't look like a hero anymore. Tubes ran from his mouth, his arms, his chest. His skin was gray, stretched tight over muscle that once carried 50 pounds of gear through hostile mountains. The chart at the foot of the bed didn't say much: classified injuries, multiple trauma, severe internal bleeding, but the name at the top carried weight. Chief Petty Officer Aaron Raven Cole. Navy SEAL. Sniper. Missing in action for 48 hours. Retrieved barely alive from a place that didn't officially exist. And now, dying in a hospital full of the best doctors in the world, none of whom could reach him. "Come on, stay with us," one doctor muttered, pressing down on Aaron's chest as another adjusted medication. They spoke to him like they spoke to everyone, loud, clinical, urgent, but there was no response. His eyes stayed shut. His body twitched once, then went still again. The EEG line flattened just enough to make the room freeze for half a second too long. "We're losing him," someone said. They'd already tried everything. Pain management. Emergency surgery. Blood transfusions. Advanced neurostimulation. One specialist had flown in from another state because this wasn't just any patient. This was a man with a kill count that would never be written down, missions that would never be acknowledged, a soldier whose shadow had shaped battlefields. But none of that mattered now. The body didn't care about medals. The brain didn't care about rank. Whatever Aaron Cole was fighting wasn't something a scalpel or drug could touch. And that was when Lieutenant Harris stepped back from the bed and exhaled slowly, his eyes drifting to the door. Has anyone tried talking to him like one of his own? The room went quiet. "What do you mean?" a nurse asked. "He's a SEAL," Harris said. "Not a civilian. Not a normal soldier. Those guys respond differently. Call signs matter. Identity matters." One of the doctors shook his head. "We've been talking to him for hours." Harris swallowed. "Not like this." They didn't argue, but they didn't move either. Because none of them knew how to do what he was suggesting. None of them had been there, on blacked-out helicopters, whispering into comms while death waited inches away. None of them knew the language that lived beneath protocol. Except one person. She stood near the back of the room, half in shadow, holding a clipboard she hadn't looked at in 10 minutes. Her name badge read Lieutenant Emily Carter, RN. She was younger than most of the staff in the room, hair pulled into a tight bun, eyes tired in a way that went deeper than a long shift. She wasn't assigned to this case originally. She'd been pulled in last minute because someone needed an extra set of hands. That was all. Or at least, that's what she'd told herself. But the moment she'd seen the name on the chart, something inside her had gone cold. Raven. She hadn't heard that call sign in 6 years. Emily felt her fingers tighten around the clipboard as another alarm blared. She told herself it was coincidence. Call signs repeated sometimes. Birds. Shadows. Ghosts. But deep down, she already knew. The way his jawline looked even swollen and bruised. The scar near his left eyebrow. The faint, almost invisible mark on his wrist where a watch used to sit. She'd memorized those details once, back when her world had been smaller and louder and full of sand and fear. "Lieutenant Carter," a doctor said sharply. "Can you prep another 4?" She nodded automatically, stepping forward. As she moved closer to the bed, her heart pounded harder with every step. She could hear it over the machines. She forced herself not to look at his face, but it was impossible. Even unconscious, even broken, he still carried the gravity of someone who had stared down death and refused to blink. He wasn't just a patient. He was him. Emily had met Aaron Cole in a place she was never supposed to talk about, under circumstances no official record would ever show. She had been a field nurse embedded temporarily with special operations during a humanitarian corridor that turned violent. He'd come in bleeding, angry, and very much alive, barking orders even while she stitched him up under fire. He'd called her Doc even though she'd corrected him 3 times. He'd smiled once, just once, when she told him to shut up or bleed out quietly. And before he left, before he disappeared back into the dark with his team, he'd leaned close and said something no one else in the world knew. "Raven, out," he'd whispered. "If you ever need me." Emily had laughed then, shaking her head, thinking it was just adrenaline and bravado. But now, standing at his bedside, she wondered if that moment had been the beginning of this one. "Vitals are crashing again," someone said. Emily stared at his face, and without fully deciding to, she spoke. "Raven," she said softly. The room didn't react. No one noticed. The machines kept screaming. She swallowed and leaned closer, lowering her voice, the way she had years ago when chaos pressed in from all sides. "Raven, this is Carter. You're not done yet." For a split second, so brief it could have been imagined, the EEG line twitched. Emily's breath caught. "Did you see that?" she asked. "What?" a doctor snapped, not looking up. She ignored him and tried again, closer now, her hand hovering just above Aaron's arm, not touching. "You're stateside," she murmured. "You're safe. You made it home. But you need to fight. You always fight." The heart monitor stuttered, then steadied just a fraction. Silence crept into the room like a held breath. "Say that again," Harris said slowly, turning toward her. Emily hesitated. This wasn't protocol.